Behind me in a brick red we have the Dacia Spring, the Extreme Edition 65. It's an interesting car because obviously this is a Dacia, so it's a no-nonsense car at a very friendly price. This car already starts under 19,000 euro. This one is a bit more expensive though, because it is the 65 version with more power. We'll get to that in a minute. But in this video we're going to have a look and see if this is actually still worth it at this price point, or if it's all just very cheap plastics and garbage handling. My name is Peter and I'm going to take you around this car in and out, and we're going to have obviously a drive and see what is what. Now it might be a small car, but obviously we got to do a cockpit tour of this Dacia Spring. Now this is a cheap car made to a budget, so there is no way of getting around the fact that everything in here is nasty, hard plastic. It's pretty terrible, to be honest. Is that an issue? No, I don't think so. We saw the same kind of plastics in the Dacia Duster 4x4 Extreme. It's not nice to touch, let's be honest. It sounds terrible. The touch points with your elbows and such are nasty, but it's easy to clean, it's easy to live with, it doesn't break, it doesn't stain, and it is cheap, so it keeps the car cheap. So that is the reality of this price category. That is something you're going to have to live with. That said, there is a lot of good news, so do bear with me. If we do the tour, here on the left I have no buttons at all. My window controls are here in the center console that we'll get to in a minute. There is a little joystick thingy behind the steering wheel for the mirror control, so that is still electric, so that's great. The steering wheel has buttons only, so that's excellent. On the left for my cruise control and so on, and for on my right cluster for my systems. Excellent, real buttons, no capacitive nonsense, something really to press, so that is great. Behind it, some real stalks for my wipers and my lights, and a Dacia driver's display through the steering wheel. Is that the most sophisticated display you'll ever see? Absolutely not, but it is bright, it's functional, it's big enough, and it does exactly what you want it to do. It has my basic information on it, I can put my navigation on it, and some driving aids and so on. Everybody happy. And the same really goes for the middle screen. Is it the last word in processor speed or rendering times and so on? No, absolutely not. But it does work, and it does everything you want it to do just fine. So I'm not mad about it. Neither display is the last word in technology, but they both do exactly what they need to do, and they don't demand any extra knowledge. The menus are not complicated. It is just pleasant to work with. And I think if you would upgrade these screens with some nicer graphics and a faster processor, everybody would be so enthusiastic about it they wouldn't know what to tell you. But the fact that they are just downgraded slightly in quality and in speed does not take away from the fact that they are very functional and do exactly what you want from them. So I'm absolutely fine with these screens and the whole implementation of it. If we focus on the middle, we got two manual vents under the screen. That works just fine. And then we have a very, very nice button cluster here. Well done, Dacia. You could debate if you need the window switches here, but that's where they are, at least for the front. The rear passengers have their own individual switch. There is your alarm lights, your eco settings and so on, and the personal profile setting that we know from Renault. So you can set your personal profile in terms of ADAS systems, and you can save that, and then with this button you have to press it twice, once to activate, once to confirm that you want your personal profile to be activated, and then that is set for the rest of the journey. So you program that once, and then every time you set off, you just tap that button twice, and all the annoying speed warnings and lane departure warnings are off. Great job. Excellent. That is the thing you want to copy from Renault. Well done, Dacia. Underneath, we have the Klima unit with a real dial to change the temperature and a real dial for the fan speed. Fantastic. Then some buttons for your air direction, your AC on and off, your demisting, and all is well in the world. So happy. It's so simple. I don't understand why everybody needs to reinvent the wheel. This costs nothing to make. Everybody understands how this works, and this is how you want it to be. Great job, Dacia, again, well done. Two USBs underneath, and then a cup holder or two or three down here, also with your 12-volt socket, and a sort of cube with the little drive selector on top of it, and a manual handbrake. No elbow rest or anything here in the middle, nothing to show you nor tell you, again, obviously to keep the costs down. Then we have the seats that are made of a sort of wetsuit material, again, obviously cost saving, and I'm sure all kinds of eco-friendly. I don't like them because after 5 minutes my back starts to hurt, and I also have to sit slightly crooked because with my enormously broad frame I'm sitting against the door frame here, so I have to sit like half turned in this seat. I can move my seat forward and backward slightly, but it is not much of a solution here. So I'm not comfortable here, despite the fact that I have more than enough headroom, and everything is fine as far as that goes. Now, all round, is this a cabin to hate? Absolutely not. This is a very, very nice cabin, especially considering the price of the vehicle. I think if you upgrade the materials slightly and upgrade the plastic slightly, you have a fantastic, I wouldn't say fully premium cabin, but then you can really elevate it to a higher price point. And I think at this price point, yes, you have to take some shortcuts in terms of materials and features. You know, a central armrest is something that you should have in a car, I think. But if you build a car to a budget, why not? Why not have it this way? It's a utilitarian approach because this is easy to clean. It doesn't get dirty easily. Because this is easy to clean, it doesn't get dusty, and if you have a scratch on it, it doesn't really matter either. So yes, it's compromised in certain ways, but all round I think this really works, and Dacia has made the most of what they can do with the hardware that they have available, and borrowing a few things from Renault, like that personal profile button. So I think all round, job well done. Obviously, it's no surprise that here in the back of the Dacia Spring there is hardly any kind of space. It's a small car and that length has to go somewhere, and obviously the first thing to suffer is the rear seats. As you can see, technically speaking, I fit, but this seat is now in the position for my 11-year-old son, and I am basically going through the seat with my knees and poking him in the back. So technically speaking it fits, yes, but yeah, you don't want to sit here for any longer than 10 minutes if absolutely necessary. I do have some space for my feet, so that is nice. And kids back here sort of kind of works. My 11-year-old is not fitting. My 8-year-old is already complaining. But again, for short drives, it's probably fine. Luckily, the seats are soft in the back and not very thick, so that definitely helps. So you're not, have some kind of hard back seat here that is completely unbearable, like we saw in the review of the Alfa Junior. But yeah, you don't really want to transport anybody back here. This is a place for bags and maybe a child or two for a very short journey, but that's about it. A quick dive into the price list for this Dacia Spring shows us that you can already get this car for 18,900 euro. For that though, you get the 45 version with 45 horsepower that will get you from 0 to 100 in 19 seconds. I have a very serious doubt if that car is still safe to drive. In city traffic, maybe, but beyond that, I don't know. I think that gets borderline dangerous. I don't think that's the one to go for, especially because for 1,000 euro more, for 19,900 euro, you can get this 65 version with 65 horsepower. That will get you from 0 to 100 in 13 seconds, so 6 seconds quicker. This one is the extreme version. I have the price list right here. So it starts at 19,900. This color is the Rouge Brick for 600 euro extra. We have a DC charger with 30 kilowatts of charging power for 600 euro extra as well. Something you should definitely get. Parking sensors, 150, and a emergency charging cable with 2.3 kilowatts of capacity. So that's a normal plug for at home for 250 euro extra. Add to that some costs for getting the car ready to go, some recycling costs and some taxes, and this total for this one, as it sits right here, is 22,550 euros and 1 cent here in the Netherlands. Obviously, we got to do a little bit of driving in this Dacia Spring, and I've taken it to the worst place possible for this car, perhaps, the highway. With 65 horsepower, clearly this is not any kind of highway monster. And sitting here, we're doing 100 now. Driving out of Eindhoven where I live, it gets loud in here. The seats are not comfortable for a long journey. I'm just physically too big for the seat. There's road noise, there's wind noise around the mirrors. There's a lot of stuff that clearly shows that this is not a highway car. That said, it is perfectly capable as long as you take it within its limits. Like I say now, around 100 kilometers an hour is about as much as it'll do. Top speed is 135, by the way. But yeah, the battery empties so quickly because it's only a small battery, and your range does not allow you to do any kind of real far driving. If you take the car out of this situation and put it in its natural habitat, the city, then suddenly things become a lot more pleasant. There's cars like the Opel Rocks, and Fiat has a variety of that car, those small, really city center cars that can only do 45 kilometers an hour. Those are very handy in the city center, but they're still, it's like one step above a scooter. This is really a step above those products where it's still a real, proper, full-on car that you can take on the highway like we do now, but still offers everything you want in a city. So it's small, it's maneuverable, it's zippy off the line, and it's all around a great vehicle to have with you in a city context. Because there's enough room for kids and some stuff in the back, there's enough room in the boot for your hockey bag and your tennis rackets, and all is well. And you can park it anywhere, it's quick enough around traffic lights and roundabouts and so on, and this makes it a pleasant vehicle to drive around town. And then things like the materials and the lack of an armrest and the seats that aren't comfortable suddenly become a lot less relevant because you're only in the car for, let's say, 10 to 20 minutes. And that's really where you have to see this car in that kind of context. Because if you look at the horsepower, for example, 65 horsepower obviously is not a lot. But when was the last time you were at a roundabout in the middle of a city and thought like, well, I'm fully gonna open it up now and see how fast it can go? That just doesn't happen. And from 0 to 30 and from 20 to 50, this car is more than fine. It's light, it's small, and the horsepower doesn't really matter there. And because it's electric, it's zippy enough to get along with traffic just fine. And when you start to use this car in that context, it's actually quite nice. I mean, then you don't have any wind noise, you don't have any issues, you can see out really well, you can park it nicely, you got an excellent backup camera. So, you know, Dacia is doing those things really, really well, where they say, no, we are no nonsense brand. We take everything out that you don't need, and we make this car work where it needs to work. And I think they've judged that really well. And I will even go as far as to say that there's nothing to fundamentally complain about. Yes, if you slam the door, it feels cheap and thin. Yes, the opening for the charging flap feels very flimsy, but that is what you get when you build a car to a budget. And this car starting under 19,000 euro for the 45 horsepower version, I think is exactly that. It's a car made to a budget, and yes, you got to cut some corners somewhere with the plastics, with the material and so on, but then at the same time I got USBs, navigation, air conditioning, cruise control. What more can you realistically want from a car like this? And I think looking at the car like this, and I think I said something similar for the Kia Picanto, yes, of course there's a lot wrong with the form factor and you always want more power, more space, more boot space, more legroom in the back and so on, but that's not what this car is for. And I think if you see it through the correct lens, this is an excellent car. After a week with this Dacia Spring Extreme 65, what do we make of it? Is it still worth buying at this price point? Well, obviously you have to compromise. Size-wise, it is just a small car competing probably with a Toyota Aygo, X, maybe even Kia Picanto, those kind of cars. So size-wise, you know what you're gonna get. For the money though, I would always go for this 65 version and not for the 45. 45 horsepower is borderline undrivable and also borderline dangerous as far as I'm concerned. Don't do that, spend €1,000 more and get the 65 if you want this Spring. Extreme Edition, I don't know if that's really necessary. If you want to go for cheap, you know, you can save a little bit of money because this one is 22,000, like I already said. But on the other hand, why not? I mean, the steps are so relatively small that it's probably worth going for everything. Although that said, for this kind of money, I would seriously consider buying a second-hand car because you can get a lot more car for your money if you're shopping in this price bracket. If you want to buy a new car per se, this is certainly one to put on the list with the Kia Picanto and an Aygo, for example. It's pretty complete. It does everything you want it to do in relative style, and I think this color in particular is quite nice. And Dacia is a no-nonsense brand, so if you want a no-nonsense car, then this is what you gotta have. That's all I got for you in this video. Thanks for watching. Sub to the channel is always appreciated, and give this video a thumbs up if you like it. And until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers!